Welcome to the 20th edition of the Asset AAA Regional Awards. As we mark the beginning of a new decade, we are rebranding the Regional Award as the Asset AAA Sustainable Capital Markets Regional Awards. From the smoldering ashes of the Asian financial crisis 2 decades ago, we launched the asset into an uncertain future. Today, with the trade war, Brexit, social unrest, global growth deceleration, and now COVID-19, it is not surprising that some among us see the future as similarly uncertain. All the more reason, in the asset's view, that we need to rededicate ourselves to ensuring that financial markets remain firmly rooted in the real world. Finance with a purpose is how we at the Asset would like to see this future. This year's Regional Awards introduce a number of new recognitions. On the deal side, we now have awards for the new economy, education, healthcare. We see the Asset Awards for Sustainable Capital Markets reflecting as much of the 17 objectives of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG. Likewise, on the financial advisor side, we are announcing the inaugural winners of the Asset AAA Sustainable Finance Advisor, the Asset AAA Social Impact Advisor, the Asset AAA Second Party Opinion Advisor, which are in addition to the recent awards such as the Asset AAA Best ESG Bank and the Asset AAA Best Green Advisor. As we enter our 3rd decade, our goal at the Asset is firmly rooted in ensuring that with the emergence of Asia's capital market from the humble beginnings during the Asian financial crisis to where it is today, a vibrant and expanding venue for issuers to be able to access capital, attracting the participation of the largest investors from near and far, that these markets will serve as a catalyst, enabling the growth of business that are sustainable, protecting the environment, and contributing to a better society.
Best IPO for healthcare pharmaceutical. Even before the coronavirus outbreak, interest in healthcare has been on the rise. Hansoh Pharmaceuticals' $1.153 billion IPO certainly reflected that. As the largest pharmaceutical company Hong Kong IPO since 2016, the share price closed 37% higher from the offer price on the listing day, with a market cap of now $14.2 billion. It is now one of the largest healthcare companies listed on the Hong Kong Exchange. Hansoh is one of the few R&D-driven Chinese pharmaceutical companies with an established position in some of the largest and fastest-growing therapeutic areas in China, with significant unmet clinical needs relating to the central nervous system diseases, oncology, anti-infectives, and diabetes. A total of 180 investors globally participated, enabling the IPO to be priced at the top end of the price range despite a volatile market backdrop. Final price represented a 2019 price earnings of 27.5 times, which is a 35% premium to the average of major Hong Kong listed comparable pharmaceutical companies. Best Green Loan. Real estate and properties are among businesses that have seen the value of embracing sustainability. This dual tranche deal for Fraser Property, a Singapore-listed real estate group which has over $27 billion of assets ranging from residential, retail, commercial and business parks to industrial and logistics in Southeast Asia, Australia, Europe and China, included a 500 million Australian dollar 5-year green loan tranche adopting the Asia-Pacific Loan Market Association Green Loan Principles. Proceeds from the Green Loan tranche were used to refinance existing loans for 2 green developments in Fraser Properties' portfolio: Alexandra Point, a 24-story office building, and 51 Cuppage Road, a 10-story office building rated Green Mark Platinum and Green Mark Gold respectively by the Singapore's Building and Construction Authority. The facility incorporated a reducing pricing structure from the second year onwards that is linked to BCA's Green Mark scheme, provided that the accreditation is maintained for both properties. This was the first such loan of its kind in Singapore. Best Local Currency Bond Advisor. The nominees are Credit Agricole CIB, DBS, HSBC, Standard Chartered. The winner is Standard Chartered. Best Renminbi Bond Advisor. The nominees are Bank of China, Credit Agricole CIB, DBS, HSBC, ICBC, Standard Chartered. The winner is Bank of China. Best Securitization Advisor. The nominees are BNP Paribas, HSBC, Standard Chartered.
Securitization, Chito, this market, it's been growing over the last more than a decade now. Everyone seems to know everyone. Best securitization advisor is always a big challenge for us. We've got the 3 candidates here, BNP Paribas, Standard Chartered, and HSBC. Actually, they're all friends. But tell me, what are you thinking about BNP Paribas this year?
Well, BNP Paribas, right? They were our winner in 2018, and the bank was able to pick up where it left off in that year, doing I think 25 deals
Yes.
in 2019, and 2 of the highlight deals that really defined the franchise was the Renewable securitization of trade receivables. Another interesting deal was the securitization of prime credit of its consumer loans, right? I think it's one of the rare deals that we've seen in that sector outside of Japan.
In a sense, these are new asset classes, and we don't see them as much as the other types of deals, right? The candidate that's very strong this year, as always, and every year they're a big candidate. They've won it in previous years. Is Standard Chartered, right? I take note that they've done 41 deals this year across Asia, mainly in places like Greater China, Australia, and also Singapore. They were the advisor for Bavarian Sky China Leasing, the first foreign captive auto lease ABN, and the first auto lease ABN with international rating in CIBM. They were also involved in an aircraft leasing securitization, which is quite interesting as well. I thought that was for Raptor Aircraft Finance. The other one, we have the third candidate is HSBC. I think their strength is particularly notable in the onshore credit asset ABS market.
Yeah, HSBC continues to be a major player in the securitization sector in the Asia Pacific region, right? I mean, it's the term of HSBC is really China.
Yes.
And China being the biggest market in the region.
The two deals I would like to point out is the auto ABS for Ford and Geely.
The winner is BNP Paribas. Most innovative deal, non-bank financial institution. Adoption of ESG standards in finance and investing is gaining ground. One segment that is starting to catch the drift is private equity. In many ways, private equity is at the core of impact investing because partners seeding private equity funds can achieve a deeper impact with investee companies. This makes Quadria's Capital's $65 million sustainability improvement capital call facility notable as it is the first of its kind globally that pegs the interest rate to a set of ESG performance targets on Quadria's Fund 2 portfolio, which aims to make investments in companies focused on the provision of healthcare delivery, life sciences, medical technology, and associated healthcare services in Asia. The interest rate on Quadria's capital facility will go down if B Analytics' yearly assessment proves that Quadria is meeting its sustainability targets. This incentivizes the way Quadria picks its portfolio companies and influence ESG improvements in its portfolio. Best Green Bond. Adani Green Energy $362.5 million amortizing senior secured green bond. This bond, issued by three wholly owned subsidiaries of Adani Green Energy, but under one identification number with a combined capacity of 570 megawatts and largely sold to government off-takers, enjoys the distinction of becoming the first ever investment-grade US dollar bond by an Indian renewable energy company. Adani Green, which is a subsidiary of the Adani Group, India's leading infrastructure and energy investor with portfolio market cap of $23.5 billion, is among India's largest renewable utilities with a total capacity of about 5.3 gigawatts across wind and solar power generation. The deal saw a final order book of over $2.1 billion from 150 accounts. The notes were allocated 88% to fund managers, 6% to insurance companies and pension funds, and 6% to banks, private banks, and others. Best Emerging Market Bond Advisor. The nominees are Credit Suisse, HSBC, UBS, the winner is Credit Suisse. Best Acquisition Finance Advisor. The nominees are Citi, HSBC, the winner is HSBC. Best M&A Advisor. The nominees are Citi, Credit Suisse, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, UBS.
So in the Best Eminent Advisor category, there are 5 institutions that are vying for this very coveted awards. I'd love to hear your thoughts on kind of the candidates that we selected. So maybe I'll start off with you, Cheeto. What's your thoughts on Citi for the Eminent Advisor Award?
Well, Citi has a very interesting year in 2019, right? And I think one of the deals that really defined their year was the privatization of Hopewell Holdings, which is one of the biggest ever in Hong Kong, right? Another deal that really, put their franchise into the picture was the divestment of NG, of their stake in Glow, which enabled the company to exit the coal sector in the Asia-Pacific region.
So moving in line with that sustainability aspect that we want to capture here at the Asset Awards, Derek, if I could ask you, what's your thoughts on Credit Suisse, another notable candidate that we've selected for the M&A Awards?
Well, Credit Suisse is very active in several markets such as China, India, Singapore, Korea. It is part of the Alibaba's acquisition of equity interest in Ant Financial. It's also part of SCB's in the sale of stakes in SCB Life or to FWD.
So Credit Suisse as well has been quite active as well. I've also noticed that, Goldman Sachs, who we also selected, has been also similarly quite active. They were in the Amir Sports transaction along with Citi, which is the last significant China outbound M&A. At the same time, they also took part in the FWD, Siam Commercial Bank deal where Siam Commercial Bank was selling its life insurance business. So also Goldman is also a worthy candidate as well. But I just want to get your thoughts, Cheeto, on Morgan Stanley. That's also another bank that we've selected as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Morgan Stanley as well was able to capture the theme on the insurance deals, right? And also they are part of the FW deal with Siam Commercial. And also they were part of, in the deal by Hong Kong NWS in taking over FT Insurance.
Finally, but not the least, we have UBS, which has also been quite active. Derek, just your thoughts on kind of how you're seeing UBS over the last 12 months.
UBS is able to close the MUFG's acquisition of Danamon in Indonesia. In early this year, they are also able to close UPL's acquisition of Aristas Life Science.
So clearly, as you mentioned, I know a lot of landmark deals have been done by these institutions, and of course, it's been a tough year for M&A, but interesting to see how this will continue for the rest of 2020.
The winner is Citi. Best Green Loan. Rooftop solar projects tend to be uneconomical to finance on an individual basis due to their small scale, and therefore are generally funded on a guaranteed basis. But in this particular case,
more than 1,200 HDB blocks and almost 50 government sites are set to be installed with solar panels.
Through an innovative structure, this portfolio of rooftop solar projects was able to secure a single loan financing facility and on a limited recourse basis. The principal in this financing is the Sunsilk Group, a Singapore green energy solutions provider, which raised a total of 50 million Singapore dollar. The financing provides flexibility for the borrower to disperse the loans to fund new rooftop projects based on agreed criteria. The rooftop solar projects funded will range from about 100 kilowatt to 5 megawatts in capacity and will benefit from long-term power purchase agreements with more than 20 international and domestic commercial and industrial corporates, from education to transportation to technology. Most innovative deal for bank. Bank of China became the first Asian issuer in the international capital markets with its $250 million FRN tranche to follow the secured overnight financing rate, otherwise known as SOFR benchmark established by the Federal Reserve of New York, which is intended to replace LIBOR by the end of 2021. Issued via the bank's Macau branch, 80% of the proceeds are intended for clean transportation such as intercity rail projects, railway projects and metros, while the balance is earmarked for renewable energy such as wind power projects and integrated energy projects including solar. The US dollar 350 million FRN is for 3 years, which is priced at par with a similar coupon, and we offer spread of 95 BIP over SOFR. It generated a total demand of 550 million US dollars from fund managers, insurance companies, and private banks. Best REIT Advisor. The nominees are Citi, Credit Suisse, DBS, the winner is DBS. Best Debt Advisor. The nominees are Bank of China, Citi, Credit Suisse, DBS, HSBC, Standard Chartered. The winner is HSBC. Best Loan Advisor. The nominees are Bank of China, Citi, Credit Suisse, DBS, HSBC, MUFG, Standard Chartered. Best Loan Advisor. Guys, this is an interesting one where we have 7 nominees for this award. The loan year has not been all that great, but we've got 7 nominees here, and indicating that this is one of the must-win awards for many of these banks. I'm going to start out, DK, with Bank of China. Tell me about them.
Yeah. When you talk about best loan advisor, you can't forget Bank of China. Bank of China has been always active in terms of the loan markets, as you can see in the league table. One of the key deals they've done last year is the C-TRIP 2 billion syndicated loan.
That's right. Another one that stood out for us is Citi. Citi's always been there. They're very active in the syndicated loan market. The 2 deals for me that stood out is the CK Hutchison Group Telecom 10.4 billion euro bridge facility and the 4.2 billion euro term loan takeout, which was done with HSBC. The other deal that stood out was the privatization of Hopewell Holdings, the $4.3 billion privatization. And the credit that they raised was the $2.7 billion credit together with DBS, HSBC, and MUFG. Next one, let's move to Credit Suisse. What have they been doing?
Well, Credit Suisse is quite interesting. You know, they are a little bit different from Citi, though. They like to kind of do some of these loan deals in frontier markets, whether it be Vietnam, Pakistan, even Papua New Guinea, not necessarily for 2019, but in previous years we engaged with them. You know, frontier market loans have been a big aspect of what they're doing.
They seem to stand out in the frontier markets particularly.
It is. It's something that they've kind of looked to bank upon for years to come. I mean, if I could just mention some of these frontier market deals, they've done the Ministry of Finance to allow People's Democratic Republic, the Euro, 135 million Euro deal. They did Novaland in Vietnam for the 250 million term loan facility. And of course, you know, their long-term client, which is of course the Ministry of Finance of Pakistan, Islamic Republic of Pakistan, they've been quite active in that.
Good mix of deals. Good mix of deals. The other one we want to showcase is of course DBS. DK, what have they been up to?
Well, we are seeing DBS diversifying its client coverage in terms of our large caps, mid and small caps as well. They are very active in sustainability-linked loans and green financing space in different currencies. Some of the key deals, including OLAM, COFCO International, and also one of the most significant deal, Marina Bay Sands.
Yeah, Marina Bay Sands stood out actually. They did that with MUFG and Standard Chartered. The other bank that's always in the running, can never forget them because they're always there, is HSBC, and they're diversified across many of the markets. Of course, in the home market of Hong Kong, they're very, very strong. Talk about a little bit about some of the deals, Daryl.
Yeah, so as mentioned by DK in the previous bank with DBS, sustainability and kind of green loans are kind of a big trend going forward. I can just share for HSBC, one of their key deals that they did recently was the Langham Hospital Investments, the HK $7.5 billion loan, sustainability-linked loan, which I believe will be kind of the thing for the future going forward, though. I'm sure the other deals as well, right?
They also are in a lot of the Chinese names.
Yeah, they're part of the COFCO International deal together with DBS as well.
Yes. They've done a few, to your point, they've done a lot of this kind of green ESG sustainability facilities. And a couple of them I mentioned. One is, of course, the first green loan designed to fund a new property development in Singapore for city development. This is a 100 million Singapore dollar deal. The other one is for Baguio, which is the first food-grade ready plastics recycling facility in Hong Kong. Very active. Overall, HSBC is one of the nominees for this award. Let's have a look at some of the other candidates. Japanese bank, MUFG, Daryl.
Yeah, so switching obviously from European bank to Japanese bank, I mean, you have to mention MUFG. They're one of the leaders when it comes to obviously comparing them with the Japanese banks. In terms of volume on the league tables, they are definitely up there along the big boys. In terms of kind of like a market strength, you've seen them very active in places such as Indonesia in terms of what they're doing. They can work with a wide variety of issuers, whether it's the Philippines or whether it's in India as well. In particular, India was an interesting year because they brought a couple of issuers out into the market in terms of the samurai loan market. One of them being the Indian Railway Finance Corporation, where I've heard they're very happy with this kind of extra avenue of liquidity they can tap for the future. So MUFG very active as well.
Let's see what happens in Indonesia now that they have a strong stake in Bank Danamon. I'm sure they're going to push that franchise further in Indonesia. Last, guys, but not the least, is Standard Chartered across the region, very active, whether it's in North Asia, Southeast Asia, and India. The two deals I want to highlight for you guys is Yunlin Offshore Wind Project, which is an 85.5 billion new Taiwan dollar facility, which was done with DBS and MUFG. In the Philippines, they've done the largest US dollar syndicated facility for a company called Petron Corporation. It's $800 million US dollar loan facility together with the Bank of China and DBS. So interesting year. Despite the market was down, I think given the fact that there are a number of banks active in this market, they really want to win this award. The winner is DBS. Best syndicated green loan. The 376 megawatt project will be Taiwan's largest single offshore wind project, powering 380,000 households with green energy. It is the first offshore wind project in Taiwan that attracted the participation of a local life insurance company, unlocking new sources of financing for upcoming transactions. Formosa 2 is the third project financing in the Taiwanese offshore wind industry, following Formosa 1 in Yunlin. Located off the coast of Miaoli, it will utilize 47 market-leading 8 megawatt turbines. Taiwan amended its Electricity Act in 2017. The new stipulations require Taiwan to be nuclear-free by 2025 and promote the introduction of renewable energy as a substitute energy source. Taiwan aims to introduce a total of 5.5 gigawatts in offshore wind power by 2025. Best Equity-Linked Advisor. The nominees are Citi, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan, winner is Credit Suisse. Best Bond Advisor. The nominees are Citi, Credit Suisse, DBS, HSBC, Standard Chartered.
Okay, well, as mentioned, a lot of the, kind of categories we have is highly contested. One of them, of course, is the Best Bond Advisor. In 2019, as we were all discussing, it was a record year for Asian G3 in 2019, surpassing even the kind of the watermark that was set in 2017. So, we have a number of interesting banks here, and, we'd love to discuss about what's been going on. So, maybe I've asked you, Derek, in terms of what you've been seeing from Citi, one of our candidates for the Best Bond Advisor. What's your sense of kind of how they've done over the last 12 months?
Well, Citi was a very, very active arranger in many of the significant deals in Asia, like RI, of course, some bank capital bond as well, like Wuri banks, and they did a lot of green ESG bonds. The first RCBC, 300 million as well. Chito, what do you see in Credit Suisse?
Credit Suisse, I think the strength of Credit Suisse is really in the high yield space, right? And the broad coverage that it has in the frontier market really stood out with deals from Pakistan, from Vietnam, and from Laos, right?
Yeah. So, picking up on that, those two, very strong bond franchises, Citi and Credit Suisse, I've also noticed that DBS as well has been a very interesting candidate. Of course, their dominance in the Singapore dollar market is to be commended, but at the same time, how much the business has grown over the last 12 months or so. They've been involved in a couple of significant deals, whether it's the FIG deals from Bank of China Macau, the green bonds, and at the same time, of course, sustainability, as I mentioned, has been quite big for them as part of the theme of the overarching market, though. But I guess swinging from DBS, what's your thoughts, Chito, on HSBC? Of course, another powerhouse in the bond space, right?
Yeah, basically you can say the HSBC is the defending its this category, right? It is at the forefront again. It manifested its leadership in some of the more innovative deals, like the first project bond out of Vietnam, and also strong franchise in liability management, as well as again being able to capture a lot of those green and sustainability linked bonds.
Yes, that's correct, Chito. And I guess last but definitely not the least, another powerhouse is Standard Chartered. Derek, your thoughts about what you've been seeing in Standard Chartered as well?
Well, Standard Chartered is always a very active player in markets. They're in 15 markets with regional centers in Hong Kong, Singapore, India. They did a couple of LGFV deals, for example, Beijing Infrastructure Investment. They also have ESG bond as well, the first ever SDG bond by a Malaysian issuer. So they are active in this space.
Yeah, so as you can tell, very active bond space, and it'll be interesting to see who the winner will be.
The winner is HSBC. Best Equity Advisor. The nominees are Citi, Credit Suisse, Morgan Stanley.
So the Best Equity Advisor is the battle between three different institutions, Citi, Morgan Stanley, and Credit Suisse. So Derek, I want to get your thoughts on these particular candidates for this very highly competitive award. What's your thoughts on Citi as Best Equity Advisor?
Citi, as usual, it maintains strong presence in major markets in India, South Korea, Southeast Asia, and Greater China. Its key deals are Hansa Pharmaceutical Group and also Koolearn Hong Kong IPO. It is also part of the Xinyi Solar top-up placement as well as Tridian's convertible bond.
Yeah, so a number of kind of interesting deals done by Citi as well. I do want to kind of draw your attention to Morgan Stanley. Similar to Citi, they were in the Koolearn Technology Holding. US dollar 243 million Hong Kong IPO. They were in obviously Hanso Pharmaceutical Group's company, 1.1 billion IPO as well. But they've done other things as well, such as the Huatai Securities Company, GDR, and at the same time convertible bond with the Bilibili, the $500 million deal. So, Morgan Stanley's also been quite active, but I want to get your thoughts on Credit Suisse. That's another, interesting candidate.
Credit Suisse has a very fantastic year. Its equity deals include a broad range of industry in technology, fintech, healthcare, FI as well. Its key deal is Alibaba Group's IPO, also Bilibili's convertible bonds, and Jinko Solar, CB, as well as Luckin Coffee IPO.
So yeah, three very qualified candidates for the best equity advisor, and be a very interesting year ahead when it comes to the equity markets in 2020.
The winner is Credit Suisse. Best Catastrophe-linked bond.
A very powerful.
It's worse than we first knew.
The Philippines is among the most disaster-prone countries in the world. In 2013, Typhoon Yolanda, also known as Typhoon Haiyan, resulted in the loss of 6,300 lives and cost an estimated $12.9 billion in damages, or about 4.7% of the country's GDP. To provide financial protection to the country, the World Bank in November 2019 issued 2 tranches of catastrophe-linked bonds, or CAT bonds, to provide the Philippines with financial protection of up to $75 million for losses from earthquake and $150 million against losses from tropical cyclones for 3 years. These CAT bonds, part of the country and the World Bank working together in the past 9 years, transfer the risks related to natural disasters from the Philippines to the capital markets. Payouts will be triggered as soon as a calculation report is available, within approximately 1 month for earthquake and 5 months for tropical cyclone events, without the need to assess real losses incurred by the country. The CAT bonds attracted 24 investors globally, ranging from asset managers, dedicated CAT bond funds, pension funds, and insurance and reinsurance companies. Best Green Advisor. The nominees are BNP Paribas, Crédit Agricole CIB, HSBC, ING. The winner is Crédit Agricole CIB. Best Corporate and Institutional Advisor. The nominees are Citi, Credit Suisse, DBS, Morgan Stanley.
So, Derek, for the best corporate institutional advisor, we have a number of candidates that are vying for these very coveted awards. About 4 different banks. So maybe I could start off, going through the list of kind of how we're going through all these banks. I mean, Citi, as previous years, is a strong candidate for this particular award. We've seen them very active in the equity space, whether it be REITs, ADRs, kind of forwarding Hong Kong space to be kind of a biotech IPO hub. Citi's been involved in some key deals there, but not only in equity. I mean, we've also seen them strong on the debt side, in terms of the, helping with the privatization of Hopewell. And of course, when you particularly look into the bond space, they've done deals such as, Adani Green, which is of course a landmark deal in India. So, Citi, of course, is one of those banks that we've seen has been quite active in this particular space. But I do know you have thoughts on other banks as well. What's your thoughts on Credit Suisse? That's another candidate that we've nominated for these awards.
Credit Suisse has shown its ability in doing deals across different markets, covering frontier markets and developed markets. Its key deals include Alibaba IPO, Prime US REIT. It is also active in Asian high-yield bond space. They did Kaiser 144A trade. They also did take advantage of close relationship of between Korea and Vietnamese companies by doing a couple of deals there in M&A space.
Yes, yeah. So Credit Suisse as well, similar to like Citi, the breadth of that franchise. But I do want to also point out as well, DBS. DBS has been a key bank as well in terms of kind of investment banking. So if you look at them, they've been very strong in the REIT space. Obviously, in Singapore being a REIT leader here in Asia, and on top of that, we've seen the bank kind of grow its bond franchise, going up the league tables as the Asian G3 space, which is also very interesting. But also in the loan space, I want to kind of point out as well, DBS's loan business has been quite good as well. They've not only done kind of the plain vanilla type loans, but they've also done kind of the more sustainability loans, which of course has been the market trend nowadays. But DBS is a strong candidate, but I do want to ask your thoughts on Morgan Stanley. That's another good candidate as well.
Morgan Stanley has some key wins in India, like Embassy REIT IPO. They also had some notable deals in Greater China, such as Studio City International IPO. In terms of bonds, they have a few interesting deals, like Tencent, 6 billion bond. They also did some green bonds as well.
Yeah, so a lot of candidates have been active this entire year, so it'd be interesting to see who will make this decision, because it's a very tough choice to make, I would imagine, though.
The winner is Credit Suisse. Best Sustainable Finance Advisor. The nominees are BNP Paribas, Crédit Agricole CIB, HSBC, ING.
Sustainable Finance Advisor. This is the second year, Chito, we've been hosting this award. It's in line again with our Sustainable Capital Market Initiative, and delighted to have 4 candidates that we have this year. Maybe we'll start with BNP Paribas.
Interesting for BNP Paribas, the fact that it was able to embed the sustainable finance across different business segments, right? From transaction banking to wealth management and of course investment banking, right? And some of the deals that really highlight their year are the likes of LG Chemical, as well as on the ICBC deal, right?
Yeah, I thought the LG Chem was interesting because I thought chemical company, in fact, it's actually to finance the battery project that they have for electric vehicle. Another one that stood out for me, Chito, is HSBC. Similarly, very much embedded some of the sustainable finance initiative on their supply chain. In addition, they're also green structuring bank. In their M&A front, they've done some divestment of coal projects on behalf of clients. And of course, they have launched a green convertible bond for Linked REIT here in Hong Kong as well. The other candidate is another French bank, Crédit Agricole.
Yeah. Crédit Agricole was involved in a number of sovereign deals, right? The one that really made its mark is the Republic of Korea, right? The 1.5 billion green and sustainability linked bonds, which is actually the first one globally.
Yes.
And also they were participants in the Hong Kong SSR debut green bond.
Yeah, so very sovereign-led project. Another one that new to our awards is ING. This year they have stepped up on sustainable finance. They have done a number of landmark deals. The way I see it is they have been quite innovative. For example, they were in the Quadria Capital deal, a private equity fund, which they provided financing, and the way they run the fund will be determining how much interest they pay on this loan. So that, I think, is quite a standout for ING as well.
The winner is BNP Paribas. Best Bank. The nominees are Citi, DBS, HSBC.
We're moving to the Best Bank Award, Chito, and this award also coveted. A lot of the participating banks always seek to try to win this award. This year we have 3 candidates. Let's start with DBS in Singapore.
Yeah. DBS has another record performance in 2019 with net profit up by 14%, right? And double-digit growth in ROE.
Yeah.
Also, the bank has put a lot of emphasis and focus on digital banking.
Another bank that I'm seeing that doing a lot of digital banking initiatives, of course, Citi, another candidate for our best bank. They have a spread of business in this region. I guess they've won this award several times over the last many years that the asset has been hosting this. They have also been active in some of the equity and IPO deals overall. And that's going to be interesting how they square up against DBS, which is pushing digital. The other one I want to point out is, of course, HSBC. We know that they're undergoing some changes as announced over the last week or so. So what are you seeing at HSBC?
HSBC has a very strong franchise in investment banking, right, as well.
I think their debt capital markets business is quite good.
Yeah, definitely. You know, they always top the league table in terms of DCM, although in our evaluation process, we don't look just on the league table.
Yeah, we look at everything as well. One of the things I do like about HSBC is now they're speaking to us more about their ESG and sustainability. Yeah. So we've got these three strong candidates: Citi, DBS, HSBC. We'll find out who's going to win.
Yeah.
The winner is Citi. Best ESG Bank. The nominees are ANZ, BNP Paribas, Crédit Agricole CIB, DBS, HSBC, ING. ESG Bank, best ESG Bank, one of the most coveted every year, and this year particularly because we have the Sustainable Capital Markets Awards. This year we have 6 candidates, all very worthy candidates, and we'll start with ANZ, Chito. Tell me what you think.
ANZ perhaps best represents the Australian banks in this group, right? The bank has a carbon neutrality in their operations since 2010.
Yeah.
And in terms of their funding strategy, that included green and sustainable bank loans.
Yes, as well, yeah. In Europe, of course, they're at the forefront of a lot of the ESG initiatives there. Among the banks, we have BNP Paribas. What are you seeing at BNP Paribas?
Well, BNP, similar to ANZ, has been very active. You know, I feel like the people inside the bank place sustainability at the heart of what they're doing, whether it be, you know, the asset management team, wealth management, or even the investment banking or transaction banking. So, you know, the people there are trained to think ESG, and I feel like they're worthy candidates as well.
Their arch rival, Crédit Agricole, is on our list. What I see is that they've built in this region a sustainable banking team. They're very active in green structuring for their products, both loans and bonds. And some of the best research I've seen for ESG research. In Asia, we are seeing also movements in that direction, starting with DBS in Singapore.
Yeah, interesting case for the DBS, right? Even though you can consider this a regional bank, it was the first Southeast Asian bank to sign up in the Equator Principles. And,
that's important, right?
Yeah, that's very important. And also the internal actions include things like red packet, right?
Yeah, recycling of red packets, right? Yeah. And I think they've also started training a lot of their staff on ESG matters, which creates a lot more focus for DBS. Yeah. One of the largest banks in the region is HSBC, London-based HSBC. Daryl, what do you see at HSBC?
Well, you know, similar to a lot of the banks that we just mentioned right now, HSBC is, you know, kind of very active in terms of the stuff that they're doing externally. But internally, I mean, they've mentioned that they've really trained their staff to really think ESG first as well. So we were seeing that a lot of the capital market transactions that they're doing, they're really thinking, ESG.
A new entrant to our list this year, guys, is ING, right? ING, you know, they've been starting to become more active in Asia, and I've noticed particularly their focus on ESG. There's also a signatory to the Equator Principle, and also they're fairly active in the Asia Asia Pacific Loan Market Association, we're seeing them come up with innovation that links ESG to a lot of their financing now. The winner is BNP Paribas,